Hey, welcome to Bible study. Tonight's topic is it's travel season. I'm glad that you stopped by at a time that's convenient for you. Normally we drop Bible study Thursday evenings, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, or wherever you are, whenever you are, that you can stop by. Give me a shout out in the comments. And also, I'll send you a heart back. I just love just finding out who you are, where you're from, and how I can connect with you. We have been going through the book of Acts. We just finished Acts chapter 20 last week. So guess where we are now? Acts 21. And last couple of, actually 3 weeks, I think almost 4 weeks, we've been working on this encounter that Paul has with the Ephesian leaders over at the church of Ephesus. And a couple weeks ago, we talked about a legacy worth leaving. So I want to do a quick recap starting from there. What matters most is what we leave behind. And that's not wealth or riches, but it's love and relationship. It's what we imprint on people's hearts. I talk about that all the time. When somebody says, you've imprinted my heart, or somebody says, you're imprinted on my heart. What that really means is that you have left a deep emotional mark on their life, and that shapes how people feel about you, how they remember you, and how they relate to you. It's not casual or passing. When we intentionally build relationship with people, it comes to us in a way that allows us to mark on someone else's life, good or bad. And so this becomes part of someone's spiritual core when we imprint upon them. So they will not forget you. And what they're basically saying when they've said that you've imprinted on them is that you've changed something in them. You have a choice in how you imprint on people, your partner, your children, your family, your friends, the person you meet in the moment at the gas station, or the people who are in your life for a lifetime. And a legacy is the mark that you're imprinting on the hearts, because that's what's left when you're gone. And so we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Last week, we talked about when we say goodbye, and there's this goodbye at the shore of Miletus, where the Ephesian church leaders are meeting up with Paul and the posse, and they are headed out. The Ephesians send them a great farewell, and Paul and the rest of the crew leave them on shore as they embark on what's a 500 nautical mile journey, which should take 4 to 5 weeks to get to Jerusalem, because Paul knows that the Spirit has spoken to him. He has a keen understanding and awareness that he is to get there by Pentecost. This is now probably mid-April or late April based upon the Jewish calendar. And so this journey is to take them over to Jerusalem to be there by Pentecost. And the Spirit has already impressed upon Paul that he is going to experience trial, trauma, tribulation, persecution, maybe death. We don't know what's coming, but he knows that he's got to be there. And so we're seeing this goodbye that was on the shore. And now what? They left, right? And Paul has walked out this life of faith. He has this rich relationship with these people and these leaders of the Ephesian church. And I love the life of Paul because he leads his life with faith, and faith without works is dead, right? So faith without action is nothing. And yet he's demonstrated his faith by living a life that is rooted in love, built on trust, marked by integrity, and centered on generosity. So that kind of living leaves a legacy that's worth leaving, because it's tender, it's powerful, and it's sacred. And so now what happens after the goodbye? Well, the title of tonight's message is It's Travel Season, and that includes people and places. I'm going to read the first 4 verses here of Acts 21, and then we'll dive in and break it down. Sift through it, if you will, and see what goodies are in here for us so that we can live our life on purpose today, rooted in the Spirit. This is unchanged truth in an ever-changing world. We said goodbye to the leaders of the believers from Ephesus. Then we went on a ship straight across the sea, and we arrived at Kos. The next day, we continued on our journey to Rhodes, and from there, we went to the town of Patara. At Patara, we found a ship that was going to Phoenicia. So we got on to the ship and sailed across the sea. After traveling for some time, we could see the island called Cyprus. We went south of Cyprus and we continued as far as Syria. We arrived on the coast at the city of Tyre, and we got off the ship. The ship would remain in Tyre for some days because people had to remove the things off the ship. We found some believers in the city and we stayed with them for a week. This week's Bible study, we're just continuing Paul's journey back to Jerusalem, and it's one filled with people, places, and the providence of God. It's travel season. I want to look at this first verse. It says, we said goodbye to the leaders of the believers from Ephesus. Paul often traveled with a team, and sometimes they would divide and conquer. He would say, hey, stay behind, shore these people up, strengthen them, encourage them, and I'm going to go ahead and forge on through and meet up with me on the other side, right? Sometimes it was for safety reasons where he was like, hey, you guys go this way. Because there's a group of us, it'd probably be easy to spot me. I'm just going to go this way and just shuffle through. I'll meet you in Miletus, right? Because people were after him. And so they went another way. He went another way. But we oftentimes don't know who the we is in this passage. Who is we? We said goodbye to the leaders of Ephesus, so they didn't come on board. So who are the we? Doesn't say names here, but if you look at the full context of the books and other ancient scrolls, you can pretty much figure out who most likely would be there. So let's take a look at these people. The first one is Luke. Luke is a physician, as we know from some other ancient writings, and he is the author of the book of Acts. The writings that are collected in what is known as the book of Acts. He was present. He was writing firsthand the accounts that were happening as shown by the use of we in this passage. So Luke is definitely with Paul. And of course, Timothy is there. Timothy, we know, is the beloved spiritual son of Paul that ever since they met up, Timothy has gone with him. And we see letters later on in that have been bound together in the books of 1 Timothy and 2 Timothy that Paul wrote to Timothy. He loved him like a son, and it often was very instrumental, Timothy was, in encouraging and strengthening the body of believers in many of the areas where Paul had initially broke ground, if you will. Aristarchus is his name, I'm sorry. He is a loyal Macedonian. He's from Thessalonica, Greece, what is now the modern day Thessaloniki. And he endured persecution with Paul. And he would later travel to Rome. So we know that Aristarchus is with him. Trophimus, he was a believer, an Ephesian, actually, and a believer. We know that he endured some trials himself, caused some controversy in Jerusalem just by being seen with Paul. So he was with him. And also, most likely present was Sopater. He was from Berea. If you've read any of the scriptures or you've been hanging out here doing Bible study, he lived right next door to the Jewish temple in Berea. and took Paul in when Paul got ousted by the religious authorities, and most likely a Jewish convert, and he might have been, most likely been with him, although we can't, account for that, but we can see based upon the journey and the travels and who was added to, that he most likely was with him. Secundus was another man that might have been with him. He also was from Thessalonica, and these guys were early converts of the work from religion to relationship with God, right? Gaius was from Derbe. He was another early conversion of Paul's in the teachings of God and the Spirit. So, and he was also a trusted friend, so he may have been with him also. So I wanted to give you just a little background there. These men were not just travel buddies, okay? There was a calling and a purpose on their life. They knew that. They understood the Spirit of God. They prayed. They meditated together. They were co-laborers. They were warriors of the faith, and they were encouragers. They weren't like negative, critical people that were, meddling, coming behind, gossiping. These guys were shoring one another up for a common mission. They supported one another in each other's gifts and the common calling that they had together. They were strong. They were mission-minded. And they were united by faith. They were living that out, and they demonstrated it everywhere that they went. And they had common purpose. So my question for you as a point of reflection in just this one verse is, who is part of your we? Who is part of your we? Those who are walking with you. Those who are praying with you. Those who are encouraging you. These aren't the people that you left on the shore, that you have deep relationship with and are tied to by what has happened or been done. These are your ride or die people that are in your life. They're supporting you, they're loving you, they're encouraging you. They're coming alongside saying, how can I come alongside you? And then who has walked with you in a season and imprinted on your heart? Who is that? That you are for the good because God had placed them in your life for a reason, for a season, right? Or for this lifetime thus far. Have you taken the time to stop and pause and just physically hold your heart and say, thank you, God, for this person and how they imprinted on me? I think of this man named Jim Wadley. He was a mentor of mine very early on. I was 20 years old when I first met him, and a business mentor. And he imprinted on me so many things about life that I hadn't learned growing up. It was just different culture, different time. And for where I was headed, the things that he was teaching me were so valuable, and he imprinted on me in such a powerful way. And I kind of feel like that Paul-Timothy kind of relationship with Jim. Another person who was just so instrumental in my life was Erin Kirby. She's a woman who introduced me to the Spirit of God. And once I had that awakening, I was off and running to the races. And so I love how much she's imprinted into my life in just that brief period of time. And every few years, I have an opportunity to visit with her, and I love being able to see her. But who can you tell them even, thank you for imprinting on my heart, right? So we go through these next several verses that I read in the beginning, and I'm not going to read them again, but Luke is outlining. We then sailed off to this port, and then we got on another ship, and we went here, and we passed the island of Cyprus, and we did all of these things. Let's briefly look at the geography of this, because it's travel season, so let's take a look at all of the little stops along the way. Miletus, or Western culture, says Miletus. This is where Paul gave that heartfelt goodbye and this message to the Ephesian leaders. of the believers there in Ephesus, knowing that he may never see them again. And then they stopped at Kos, C-O-S. That's a small island. It's off the coast of Asia Minor at the time. That's now modern day Turkey. And it was a short stop on the journey, and we don't really know anything else beyond that. But then they stopped at Rhodes, and that's a larger island, and it's known for the Colossus of Rhodes. And that is a gigantic bronze statue that was built of the Greek god Helios, which is the god of the sun. And it was listed as one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. It was a beautiful piece, and when the sun glazed down on the bronze, and it magnified and reflected, the sun out over the seaport that was there where it was. And that was built, I think, in 286 BC, and then somewhere around in there. And then like 226 BC, an earthquake caused it to collapse. And so the remains were there for some time. And then the Muslims came in, took over that area a good bit, and then took the bronze remains and basically sold it off. So it was never rebuilt. Paul would have never seen it. He may have seen the remains of it there in the port area, but he would have never seen it because it happened before he ever got there. So I want you to see the historical context of the time and the place, right? It's travel season. Patara, a port city, they changed ships, they went farther east, they passed by Cyprus. That was pretty significant for Paul and the ministry work that he did. Barnabas was from there, by the way. And then they landed in Tyre, T-Y-R-E. Take a look at Tyre. It's now Lebanon, southern Lebanon, but at the time it was part of Syria. The ship docked there for several days, as we know, because it's unloading cargo. Tyre is one of the oldest and most historically significant places in the ancient world because of all of the commerce that was coming in and out of there. It was located on the Mediterranean coast, beautiful part. Like I said, it's now in considered southern Lebanon, but it was built partly on the mainland and partly on the offshore island. So probably the ships were coming into that offshore island, and then the people were going over to the mainland. And that's probably where Paul and the rest of his team went into the mainland, to the city, in order to stay for several days. So I think it is important for us to stop at these places that are mentioned because they're significant to the account that Luke is writing about this journey. And this reminds us that the journey matters as much as the destination. These guys are headed to Jerusalem. We haven't heard anything about it. As a matter of fact, Acts 21 doesn't open up with, and then we landed in Jerusalem, right? The end of Acts 20 says, and we said goodbye. Well, now it says, so we said goodbye to the Ephesians, and then we traveled here, there, and everywhere. It doesn't start out with, we went to Jerusalem. So there was a lot that happened here that I think it's important, because it's easy to think that the goal is Jerusalem. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? The mission isn't the only thing that matters. The journey there is just as important. And I think the account here kind of slows us down to that. They name each stop, each ship, each moment along the way. That's intentional, because God doesn't work just in the outcomes. He works in the process. And so as I round out tonight's Bible study, I ask you this. If God is forming something as we go, where do you tend to rush towards the destination and miss what God is doing along the way? a cause to pause? And are you letting God form your heart during the journey? Or are you just trying to get through it? Can you slow it down and look out the window and enjoy the scenery? Can you take whatever trials are coming in the midst of it and turn it into something that would be for you to grow, enjoy, remember? If you're in a traveling season, this is an appropriate time for you. But you might be preparing for a traveling season. And if you are, this is a prime time to have this message. If you just finished a traveling season and you just made it through, can you stop now and take the time to look back at all the stops and all the hurdles and all the challenges and all the great things that happened that you can celebrate and see the good in all of it and remember it for what it was? If you're in that traveling season, the in-between, if you will, where you were, where you think you're headed, don't rush it. Don't rush through it. There is shaping that's happening in that. God rarely shapes us in isolation. He does it with people and with places. And he uses people to walk with us, challenge us, love us, encourage us, and to remind us that we're not alone. And he leads us through places, some familiar, some uncomfortable, all purposeful. Because with God, the journey itself isn't just how we get there. Listen to me when I say this. The journey isn't just how we get there. The journey is where you become who you need to be when you arrive there. I hope that tonight's message was encouraging to you and that it'll give you a reason to stop and reflect on these few verses in your heart before God. That you would take the time to look at the traveling season that's coming up for you. It's a great metaphor. The one that you're on now, the one you just finished, and sift through these questions in your heart before God. It's a place of meditation. Jesus did it. I encourage you to do it. Pray. That's communication between God and you. And meditate. Sit on these things. Lay them out before the Lord and open your heart to receive what the Spirit has for you. Tune in next week as we continue to dive in the next few verses of people and places, because we're going to stop for a few days and we're going to meet some people here in Tyre who are extremely beautiful people, ones of hospitality to house everyone for the next few days while they're in town, for a week actually, and then see them off again. So join me next Thursday or whenever you can stop by. And if you like tonight's message, share it. If you could please, it helps the algorithm. Give us a like too, and as well as a share. It allows Meta to put these types of content into the news feeds on Facebook. Love you.